So what we're going to do today is we're going to make peach and pear cobbler. So what you're going to need to do to make that is you're going to need a can of sliced peaches. You're going to drain the liquid, which I have right here. And you're going to need a can of pears, which I have right here. And as well as you're going to drain the liquid because you're going to need that. You also need 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter softened, which I have right here. Now this is the butter that I made myself without salt, so I'll put a link for the recipe. You also need a cup of sugar, which I pre-measured right here. And you also need a cup of all-purpose flour, which I have right here measured. You also need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, which I have right next to it measured. You also need 1/2 tablespoon of salt, which is right there. And you also need 3/4 of a cup of evaporated milk, which is right there. And you also need 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, which is right there. And 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, which I have right there. And 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And I'm going to show you how to make that. So if you have a 9x9 casserole dish, you want to grease that now, and we'll skip to the next step. So you're going to want to preheat the oven to 350. So we're just going to do that now. So there, it's at 350. So now we're going to skip to the next step. So what we're going to do is the first step is we're going to take the fruit and spread it across the bottom. And I'm just going to grab a fork to do that. So and you're just going to want to make sure it's spread out. You don't want it all in the same spot. And here's the other ones. And you just want the bottom covered. So now that we've done that, we're going to skip to the next step. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cream together 1/4 of a cup of sugar, which I have pre-measured right here. And I'm just going to add that in there. And as well as our 4 tablespoons of butter, which I have melted. So we're going to do this until it's light and fluffy. So I'm just going to turn that on. I'm going to turn it up a little higher. And I'm using the whisk attachment. I'm just going to continue to beat that until it's light and fluffy and skip to the next step. So now that it's light and fluffy, what we're going to do is turn the mixer down. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in the flour, which is 1 cup. We're going to add in baking soda, which we have pre-measured, the salt, and the evaporated milk. So here's the salt getting added in. Just the baking soda and the evaporated milk. And we're just going to let that work its way together. And as you can see, it's starting to mix thoroughly throughout, which is nice. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to turn it up a little bit. get the stuff on the wall. And you always want to make sure it's shut off while you do this. You never want to do it with the machine on. I'm just going to put it down. Scrape the walls. Then I'm going to lift it back up and continue for another minute or so. And then we're going to skip to the next step. So as you can see, it is mixing together rather nicely. It's almost done. So now that it's done, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the fruit with it, and I'm going to skip to that part and show you what to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a spoon, and we're going to make the batter, and we're going to cover it over that. And I just have a spoon right here. It's a little thicker than I thought it would be, but we want to put it in there. I actually used 2 spoons to get it out because it is thick. Then I'll smooth it out once I get it all out. And you want to make sure to remember to save the juices because you're going to need them in the next step. And I'm just going to take that and smooth it around. And cover that up. Okay, so I'm going to skip to the next step and show you what to do. As you can see, it's covered now. We spread it out a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to whisk the remaining 3/4 of a cup of sugar together with the cornstarch as well as the nutmeg and the cinnamon. So you're just going to need a bowl and a whisk. So we're just going to skip to that part. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the 3/4 of a cup of sugar that's left. We're going to put it in the mixer, as well as the cornstarch, which I have right here. And then we're going to put the 1/2 tablespoon of the nutmeg, and as well as the cinnamon, and we're going to whisk it together. And then once we have it whisked together, we're going to sprinkle it on the top of the cobbler, and then we're going to move to the next step, which I'll show you what that is. And that's with those juices that we saved. So there's the cinnamon. So we're just going to turn on the mixer to whisk it around. As you can see, it's starting to whisk together rather nicely. So I'm just going to fast forward to the next step where we're ready to sprinkle it on. So now that we have our sugar and cinnamon and nutmeg mixed together, what we're going to do is we're going to get a spoon and we're going to sprinkle it over on the mixture. Just making sure that it's all mixed through, and it is, as you can see right there. And you want to make sure that it's evenly spread over. Okay, so I'm just going to finish spreading this out and fast forward to the next part. So what we're going to do now is we're going to need a half a cup of each syrup, and we're going to put it in a glass measuring cup. And one bowl is exactly half a cup, so we're going to add that in. And then we're going to microwave it to bring it to a boil. Probably take about 30 or 45 seconds. So it works out to exactly 1 cup between both cans of the juices. So I'm just going to put it in the microwave, boil it for about 45 seconds, and skip to the next step. So what we're going to do now is the last step besides putting it in the oven is we're going to take the mixture, which is right here, after it's been boiled in the microwave, and we're going to pour it over evenly. And you don't want to pour it too fast. You want all of it to be covered. And then we're going to put it in the oven to bake for an hour. So set your timer, preheat your oven to 350, and I'll skip forward to show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. So after an hour of cooking the cobbler in the oven, as you can see, it's done. And it looks delicious. I'm going to wait till it cools down and serve it. So if you like this recipe, try it and let me know how it works out for you. And thanks for watching.